Thank you for coming on short notice. We're going to start with Dr. Paul Gosman, Superintendent of Lincoln Public Schools, followed by Lincoln Police Assistant Chief Ryan Dale, and then we also have available Lincoln Public Schools Security Director Joseph Wright to answer any questions. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Dr. Gosman.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Paul Gosman, Superintendent of Schools for the Lincoln Public Schools. Want to notify you that the Lincoln Police, and we have just such an incredible partnership with the Lincoln Police Department, they were called to Belmont Elementary School today to assist with a security incident, and I thought I would go through the timeline of that security incident and the events surrounding that as reported through our investigation. It was reported to our staff at Belmont today, shortly after 12:30 p.m., that a student showed other students what they thought at that time was a toy gun or a toy weapon. Teachers and administrators immediately searched and interviewed that particular student, but did not find anything. Then they searched all areas where that student had been and again did not find anything at that point. At approximately 1:25 p.m., so not quite an hour later, another student found what appeared to be a handgun hidden in the restroom at Belmont and gave that weapon to a staff member. The staff member, with the help of an administrator, secured the item in the office. We did place that building in the standard response protocol that we have. Standard response protocol is our system for responding to challenges of this nature. We placed that building in a hold to keep students in their classrooms and to keep the hallways clear while we began working on this matter. Of course, the Lincoln Police Department was called immediately, and administrators and staff began searching the school for any other potential concerns at that time. Through the police investigation, it's my understanding that it was determined that the item was a real handgun, but it was non-functional, it was inoperable, and it had no ammunition. The student who brought the item has been identified and their family has been contacted. I want to acknowledge that once the investigation is complete, any student who is involved in bringing or concealing the handgun will face appropriate school and, of course, appropriate legal consequences as well. We in the Lincoln Public Schools are cooperating with our partners in the Lincoln Police Department while they continue this investigation, and we will continue to work with them, as well as with our own security team in the district to ensure a safe learning environment for everyone at Belmont. And I want to be very clear about this, that this conversation that we're having today, this press conference that we're having today, could have been much more significant. And things went as well as they did today because our training worked today. When someone saw something that was uncomfortable, they reported it. Our staff members immediately took action. I'm so proud of the staff at Belmont Elementary School. Not only the teaching staff, the paraprofessionals, the food service, the counseling staff, but all of the office staff there were so helpful through this situation. And it's because of their hard work and thorough response using the training they've been given that we're able to stand here today and indicate that at no time was, that to our knowledge, was anyone in any danger. In the Lincoln Public Schools, we want to remind everyone that school safety takes a community, and we need your help. It's important that anyone who sees something that they feel makes them unsafe or even has a concern about that can talk to a trusted adult or report it. We have a button on our website called the Safe to Say button. It's green, and it's available there to anyone that just goes right to the website, and we encourage people to use that just to make a report. Even if you're not certain what that report should entirely include, we can take action based on initial information. We also want to encourage our families to have conversations with their children about the dangers of handling weapons without adult supervision. The Lincoln Public Schools takes this opportunity to remind families that the importance of keeping all weapons and ammunition safely away from children and adolescents to prevent intentional and even unintentional harm. I want to acknowledge that the American Academy of Pediatrics advises that the most reliable and effective measure to prevent injuries in children and adolescents is the absence of weapons. Safe weapon storage reduces a child's risk of injury. So if any student, by the way, coming out of this instance at Belmont needs additional support, extra support in processing what happened, please contact your child's school. Please know that we will have supports there for our students and staff as well at Belmont as we begin the day tomorrow. And I'm going to turn it over at this time to the Assistant Chief of the Lincoln Police Department, our good partners, and this is Ryan Dale. Thank you.
Good afternoon. This afternoon, Lincoln Police Department was contacted by Lincoln Public Schools regarding a firearm that was found at Belmont Elementary. Officers responded and worked with staff and administration at the school to start connecting the dots and find out what happened, interviewing students, witnesses, all of those things. First of all, I want to point out that parents of all the students that were interviewed were extremely cooperative. School staff, school administration, everyone involved in this worked collectively to work through this scenario as fast as possible. And I will reiterate what he said, that we have no reason to believe at any time that there was anyone in any sort of danger, and we have no information regarding any threats ever being made. We did learn so far through the investigation for right now, we're going to hold that information back, and the reason for that is we still have a lot more interviews to do, and in a case like this, the rumor mill can drastically impact those interviews, and we want to make sure what we're getting is factual and not based on the rumor mill. So for the moment, we're going to hold that information back.
And you said that you found a gun out in the open. You mean just in the house, not contained, or?
The student found it outside somewhere. It did not come from his house. The gun was very rusty. It was inoperable. Officers, it took them, after they got back to the station with it and had solvents and things, it took them quite a while to get that slide open to make sure there were no rounds in the chamber. But we do not believe that the gun could have fired even if it were loaded. But again, there was no ammunition in the gun.
Are you guys looking into where the gun came from, like whose it was and why it was there?
Yes, we have officers canvassing the neighborhood. And that's obviously part of our interviews that we're conducting as well.
It's probably safe to assume if it's rusty and then, if you're a kid and especially if you're a boy, you think guns are kind of cool, you want to show your friends. Talk to just about even if it looks rusty, it's still not something that can be brought into school, and you should talk to an adult about what you found.
Yeah, absolutely. Any gun is dangerous. Even if it looks like it's not operable, you really never know until you go out and professionally test it. If there was ammunition in it, kids should always, if they see a gun, they should always just leave it alone. Talk to a trusted adult who can give them advice on how to handle it, rather than picking it up and doing anything with it. Even if it's just turning it into an adult, it's better just to leave it in place and go tell an adult.
What specific consequences for this student or other students in this kind of scenario could they be facing from the legal side of things and also through LBS's handbook?
Well, I'll touch on the legal side, and then I'll turn it back over to the superintendent to talk about school consequences. We have not done any referrals or anything at this point. We still have a lot more work to do to make sure we have all the facts and can make a fully educated decision. But at this age, what would happen is if the circumstances made it appropriate, is we would refer that youth to the county attorney's office for a decision from them on how to proceed. And that could go a number of different ways, whether it's probation or diversion or all those sorts of things. But I'll turn it back over to the superintendent.
Yeah, from the school district's perspective, of course, we would work our way through our discipline code and policy as it relates to that. I can't say specifically what will happen in this situation right now because at this time, we're still working to make certain we know all students who may have had any involvement in this at all. And of course, we need to learn about who those students were, their grade levels, and their educational setting and such. Our protocol could include placement somewhere else for their educational experience. But, again, at this time, I'm not able to speak to what that will include for certain.
Was there a school resource officer at Belmont when this happened?
When this occurred, I don't believe so. Joe, I'm going to ask if you wouldn't mind filling me in on that. The question was the school resource officer at Belmont when it occurred? I assume not, because they're not normally stationed at Belmont. Yeah.
And so what sort of things can be done to make sure that this sort of event doesn't happen again?
Well, certainly, first of all, I would indicate that we have school resource officers in many of our buildings. And so all of our high schools have them, about half of our middle schools have them, but they all have assignments that cover the entirety of the district, if you will. And so, in this case, what happened was actually a blessing in the sense that someone who saw something said something, and the staff took that very seriously, took immediate action, and prevented anything more significant from occurring. We simply ask our families to talk with their students about situations such as these and to make certain that people know what avenues are there for them to report any suspicious activity at all so that we can take action immediately.
It seems like this isn't something new to LPS. It's something like this happened last year. There were instances in the elementary school downtown, near downtown South Street. Is LPS looking into further security measures like entrances with metal detectors or bag scanners, eliminating backpacks altogether to avoid this happening again?
Yeah, our protocol and process involves partnerships, and we're really proud of the partnership that we have not only internally with our own Department of Security, and Joe Wright, who's here and could answer some details if you have questions for him, but also our partnership with the City of Lincoln, the Lincoln Police Department, of course, Lancaster Sheriff's Department, and we believe we have some really appropriate training in place that appeared to have worked today. We have often engage in a safe and successful kids interlocal process to discuss our school resource officers, where we have members of all of those groups that I've mentioned before, talking about all kinds of security measures that could or maybe might be considered in the future. This event, like all other, you mentioned another event that may have occurred in a previous year. This event will come to a close with our work to debrief this event, to learn all of the details that we can, to review those, and to see what challenges or changes we could put in place to continue to improve, to make certain that we're doing everything in our power to keep students safe as they're learning.
Earlier you mentioned that staff was able to act really quickly because of the training that they had. Can you tell us just a bit about that training and what all it entails?
Yeah, I don't know, Joe, do you want to go into depth of the training? I think you could do a more detailed job of it than I could. And I want to be able to thoroughly answer your question, Jenna.
Joseph Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T.
Earlier, Dr. Dawson mentioned that staff is able to react really quickly because of their training. I was just curious what all that training entails.
We follow the standard response protocol, which comes from the I Love You Guys Foundation in Colorado. which is a vast, widely accepted protocol that a lot of schools use. Most of the Midwest uses it. Most Nebraska schools use it, and it's recommended by the Nebraska Department of Education. So our training asks everyone to understand 5 different responses we can have, which we've learned to do, which can cover any type of incident. We try not to train for the multitude of different incidents that could happen, but in 5 specific responses so that we're well practiced in each of those. In this case, because we felt there was not a specific danger, any type of an active threat occurring in the school, but we wanted to make sure we were able to kind of put a freeze on things so we could look in spaces, we could talk to kids, we could let the officers conduct their investigation. We went into the hold protocol, which is non-emergent, but it does freeze everyone in their classrooms with their teachers. So kids aren't transitioning, they aren't going to specials or to the bathrooms, things like that. And that allows us to really break things down and look at things individually with kids. It helps us identify where kids are if we want to bring them out and talk to them. And I think speeds up and makes the investigation more efficient.
I mentioned with Dr. Cosman, things in the future possibly, I mentioned that this happened for students who bought it ammunition before and had this whole investigation, things that come out after the fact. What is the school doing to prevent this from happening before it happens, before students get into the building and into their classrooms and have the opportunity to show the other kids this handgun or do something even worse?
The biggest safety cachet we have really is our relationship with our families and our kids, to talk to families about what it means to be safe and when to be an upstander and report when something doesn't feel right to them. And that's what happened today. Unfortunately, one of our students did decide to bring the handgun to school. We asked parents to go ahead and have frank conversation with their kids, to look in their rooms, look in their backpacks. For the older kids, look in their cars. Work with their kids in a trust relationship, but to help us make sure things that shouldn't come to school don't come to school, because parents and students are really our best partners in our safety efforts.
I don't believe so. Thank you for helping us get our message out.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks.
For coming up and answering. And can you